But basically, what we're doing here today is we're jumping in with Kelvin. Kelvin's going to jump in and do a presentation. Um, I don't fully know what it looks like in detail, but what I can say is that he made me a guinea pig and asked me to fill out some paperwork yesterday. And then I rushed through it this morning and finished it, I think. if I didn't, well, then, too bad. But I believe he's going to be doing something with that information as well. So I'm excited and scared at the same time, Kelvin. I'll let you take it away.
Okay, mate. So yeah, look, today I'm gonna get my nerd on, and my nerd Aussie sort of nerd on. So getting into SOPs, yeah, it's sometimes not the most pretty sort of space, but as GHL agencies, what a lot of the time that we are confronted with is clients who got no idea what they're doing, and they rely on us to get all their automations and get some shit done for them. All right. And so I'm trying to make this today. I want to make it a little bit interactive, show you a couple of different things that we've been doing, but also to give you an understanding of the SOP moving forward. So I've been in this space, for those who don't know, my time in computers goes back to when Microsoft first established in Australia. I was one of the first Microsoft techos in Australia, and helped also build Microsoft Project. So project management and all that sort of crap has been my space for a long time. And basically what I wanted to do today is I'm going to try as best as I can to give a layman's talk term to a couple of people that know a lot more about some of this stuff than probably what I do. So bear with us, and I've just got a bit of a presentation to throw together for you to help you understand where things are going in the project management space, SOP space, and what's going to happen there. So let me get into it. So this is the AI mind shift when it comes to getting shit done fast. All right. So, a lot of us trying to get stuff done fast. We don't know how to do it. We don't know where to do. How do I build my SOPs? Do I need VAs anymore? And Gary blew our minds last week with a presentation all about Victor, which is an awesome application I've been using myself for a while. So I guess I just want to do a bit of a background check and give you a bit of a step-by-step guide through the process of going from what I'd call the human process into the AI process, but make it also get shit done like a human. So that's like the framework. There's a principle that I've worked with now for quite a few decades, and it's a guiding principle. If you're going to do something twice, build a system once. And so it's a really simple thing. It's something that I've been doing for a long time. Dale Beaumont was the one that really drove it into me about 10, 15 years ago with his business blueprint sort of stuff. I'd already was doing it, but this really just puts it in perspective that for you guys who are doing things over and over and over again, if you don't have a system for it, you're just driving yourself nuts. And at the core, this is also what I've done my thesis on, what I've done my doctorate, is understanding that when you put something together, a lot of the time we go straight to the end result. In other words, we go to the victor, we go to the tool that's going to help us because we're in pain. We want to get something fixed. Yes, Brett, Dr. Kel. Don't let that out too much, mate. I don't know it out there, but that's the reality. And in actual fact, it's Doc Holliday, so I'm the gunslinger. So that's how it works. But the real problem here is it's your thinking. Okay. And when it comes to anything we build, our tendency is to go to that next bright, shiny object and get the tool to fix the problem rather than think through what is the problem and then select the right tool. And all of us, I think, are guilty of that if you really think about it and admit to it. And what I want to do is today to give you just a little bit of a mindset. This is how I actually sell. So I'm mixing a little bit of my sales technique in closing technique that I do with a lot of my clients in with trying to give you some background as well. So 3 mindset shifts there is. Done beats perfection. In other words, just getting it done rather than trying to be perfect is the first thing you've got to get through your own mind and improve on, like a continuous improvement thing. Speed is a strategy. In other words, If you can get things done fast, you'll actually make it happen a lot better, and you'll get a better result in a shorter term than trying to wait and not do it at all. And clarity, sometimes you just don't know what you don't know until you actually start to do it. And when you're talking to your clients, this is something that actually, for me, unraveled to a stage where I went, I can actually be honest with people and say, I haven't got all this shit worked out, particularly in the AI space, but I'm working with you, and I'll work with you to make sure it does happen. So if you can frame it in that way, it'll make a big difference to your closing. And so this little logo here, the Freedom Framework, this is what I've been working with now. This was the thesis that I'd done of my doctorate, right? And so it was about thinking, getting your thinking, your inner game, your culture, all that type of right. Then train your team and get your culture built into a team, and then select the tools. All right. So having that framework, and you get obsessed in what you think about, then you get the right team members that will help you implement what you are thinking. And then you choose the tools that the team can use to get that stuff done. It's a process. What happens? We get pain. Our clients get the same thing. They'll get pain. And the first thing I do is, what's the tool that can help me solve that pain? They don't worry about actually building the first two stages first. And you'll get into crap very, very fast. So I'm going to ask you a question. If you want to put in, so clarity, building, scale, and freedom, call it 1, 2, 3, and 4. If you want to put into the chat or yell out, put your hand up, whatever, what's the stage you think you are at now? Are you in the clarity, you know what you want to do, and you're starting to get through the thinking part of it? Are you building? In other words, you know exactly what you want to do, and you're actually building it? Are you building it and you're actually now ready to scale? This is where systems come in huge, all right? Or are you in that freedom space where everything is working quite fine and you can do what you want, when you want, and how you want it? That's the place I'm at. I actually turn up at these meetings because I like to. I do what I do because I want to. I don't do it because I have to anymore. That's freedom. Doesn't mean that I don't work. It just means that I can do it when I feel like it rather than having to do it. That's my definition of freedom. All right, I've got Kermit the Frog going over here as well. So I've got a couple of people in the different spaces there. So depending on where you are, depends on where this is going to land. Most of your clients will be in that build sort of space. All right, maybe you're trying to get some clarity. I'm going to give you a bit of a kick in the ass, whatever you like to call it. I actually say this quite clearly to my clients, all right, that most businesses are founder-led, and they should be founder-led in their thinking, but generally they're founder-led in their doing. In other words, the founders are doing all the friggin' work, and they're not allowing their team to do the work or the tools to do the work. And so this founder model, there is basically 4 sections of it. You've got the founder at the top. If it works well, the business should have the products. The business then gets the team to deliver the product and use the tools. And the client is then theoretically happy. That's what should happen in a founder-led model. However, what happens is the broken model is, as soon as there's a problem in the business, haven't got enough money, blah, blah, blah. What happens? The founder puts their hands into their pocket, and the founder ends up having to go in and fix the problems. When the client's got a problem, what's the first thing they do? They phone up the owner, hey, can you help me fix this problem? As soon as there's a team delivery problem, the team goes, hey, how do I fix this? And what happens? They come back to you. That's not a founder-led system. That's a founder-driven system. And that's the fundamental thing that your SOPs should be driving to fix. Is everybody relating to this? Like, getting a thumbs up? Is everybody relating to this? You're feeling like every time there's a problem, I'm the one that gets the phone call, the messenger, the emails, et cetera, and then I am the one that actually fixes the problem. All right. So that's the first SOP, or standard operating procedure, you need to fix. If you don't fix that, you'll never fix the rest of them. You'll never get to a proper founder-driven leadership thinking position. All right. So the shift. So these slides, everything's getting recorded here. I'll get my big fug out the road for a second. There's 7 steps. And this is what I work with every one of my clients to drive them to become the leader, to be the thinker. And if you drive these 7 steps, you'll end up creating freedom for yourself. You'll end up building a freedom business, if that's what you're after. The first one, and I'm not going to go through all 7 of them. You can go back through these slides a little bit later on. But I just want to talk about this first one. And the first one is remove your contact details from all your onboarding and all your assets. Critical. If you provide your people with your phone number, your messenger, your email, etc., 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 and if it's readily available for them and you have embedded that within your onboarding documentation, etc., you've set yourself up for a broken leadership system. So the first thing I would say to you is remove your details and create a generic team type email, phone number, whatever it might be. Now, it could be, you could call it CEO. Wouldn't say that in an Australian one, the tall poppy syndrome will pick in there. But help, support at, whatever you want to inquiry at. Don't make it Kel at or Jared at or Paul at or Gary at. All right. As soon as you put that sort of detail in, everybody will start to find you. Build in your directories and all your onboarding processes, what I call the handoff strategy. So when I do an onboarding with a client, because I still do it, they still get my calendar, they still book in, I get all the notifications, but I literally say in my onboarding, if you've got a challenge, if there's something you need to be answered, the best contact is this. This is where to get that contact detail. This is where to go when you get problems. If you do that at that stage and they still keep on phoning you, all you do is say, remember when I said in the onboarding, this is the best place to go, and stop answering their questions. Now, occasionally you're going to get a client that gets pissed off saying, I signed up with you because I liked you, all right? And they'll come up with all these objections why they want to talk to you. And all you do is you turn it back on. I like you too. That's why I'm telling you to go to the help desk, because they will help you better than I can. They are available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I'm not. All right? I'm trying to teach you how to be free. And so therefore, I want to be free and not available all the time. So I want to make a system for you to be able to build freedom into your life, just like I'm asking you to help me get freedom in my life. People relate to that because you're being real. And that's the SOP. That's the standard operating procedure that you should have in your business from day one if you're looking for freedom. Take yourself out of the equation. Move yourself away from being the solver to being just the person who thinks through the strategy and creates strategy and give the rest of the stuff to your team. All right. We all good with that? It's the biggest tip I can give you today. That's one thing that if you can do that and you model that to your clients will get it. The ones who don't are probably not worthwhile having. They're the ones that are going to bug you no matter what. The ones who will finally get it. I've got one particular client is all the time still contacting me. He said, oh, Kel, yeah, but I know you know the answer. And I said, yeah, I probably do, but I'm not always available. And I just keep on saying the same thing. When you say, oh, look, let me help you this once, you've just opened up the floodgates for them to keep on coming to you every single time. So just stop it. Best tip I can give you in building into your SOPs. So where our AI fits into this whole place, it fits into your team, not necessarily your tools bucket, right? So in your team, how you develop your AI is really important, how you develop your SOPs. Who here has got what they would think is a full set of documented, Word documents or Google Docs, right? Throw in a Y into the chat or just wave your hands if you're in there. Who thinks they've got a reasonable set of SOPs? Yes, yeah, getting a couple of yeses. Okay. Are they Word documents? About 20%? Nope. Okay. you're going to be pretty happy today, I hope. I'm going to give you 200 proven SOPs that I've been running in my company for the last 15 years. I'm going to give them to you as a bit of a gift today. Okay. Plus, I'm going to give you the strategy to build those into Victor or Claude or whatever it might be. I'm going to give you those chats and those skill sets for you to do it, and I'll show you how to use them. Okay. So AI is where it's at. We know that. That's what people are wanting you to do. So the old SOPs are dead. You know, those write a static document that nobody's going to look at. They're going to sit in a Google Drive. People are still not going to follow them. All right. So if people are going to follow them, AI will, because if you instruct AI to do it, it won't get lazy. It will follow it word for word every single time. And as Gary said last week, build it in Victor, build it. Got the problem? Build it once in Victor, problem goes away, and then just tweak it. Keep on tweaking until it's actually right and exactly how you want it. But there's a process to that as well. Don't just go to the tool. Sorry, Gary, I'm not being critical here. I love what you've done last week, mate. But I'm saying there's an extra step in front of that before you just jump straight into the tool, guys. And hopefully, whatever you've got together, I'm going to help you through that. So again, these slides, somebody asked about these slides. Yeah, the slide presentation, I'll give a copy of this to Jared and you can put it in there. It'll have all the details in here. And I'm trying to do this in 45 minutes that I normally do a 2-hour presentation on and a 6-month training course on. So I'm trying to fit in 6 months worth of information into 45 minutes right at this moment. So it's really important that you get your SOPs, like the standard way in which most people think these days, and they still think, we don't think AI, we think in SOP. In other words, this is the step-by-step process. That's how our mind wants to think when it comes to an SOP. When you talk about change management within people don't like to change things and feel uncomfortable and not know what the outcome's going to be. So use that to your advantage. If you've already got a heap of SOPs, or if you've got step-by-step guides, or however you put them together, use those as the stepping stone towards the automation. Okay. So once you extract and get your SOPs, you identify the different roles of the different agents, etc. You get all the outputs, how you want it to actually be done, and you go through and start writing these prompts. Now, I've already taken all this work out of it, and I'm going to give you all the prompts today. All right, that'll take you through to be able to exchange from what your current SOPs are into an automated Victor/Claude bot, whatever you want to do. Remember that it's a long-live intelligent workflows. All right, we're taking the human out of it, but it's still got to have some human logic where the team now is the people that executes the judgment. In other words, the automation is there, but you're still. We all know that ChatGPT and different things hallucinate. We've heard all the different horror stories of them. Our AI bots going wild and going wrong. So you still, at this stage, I would suggest still to put in the team space where you put in a step that makes sure that the team goes and, yep, that's approved, that's not approved, et cetera, just like you would within a normal process. But now what you're doing as the thinker of the owner, you are building the SOPs with the team. You're getting the team then to build the bots. They then become the judgment, and you just keep an oversight of it. Now you can get stuff done, and once the bots are working properly that you don't have to worry about that problem again. So the broken systems, I said this before, founder, all right, as soon as there's a problem in the business, we've got to fix it. The team, as soon as there's a problem in the team, we've got to fix it. As soon as there's a problem with the client, we've got to fix it. So here's the fixes. So if it's a business problem, you build the system, an AI-powered workflow, all right? And this week, I hope that you'll start to work on getting your name out of the things and at least exchange a different contact detail in that and start to take away, give yourself more time and somebody else to do it, or give AI the thing to do it. The fix for the team, the founder of the team, is an AI layer that answers the questions, like an FAQ sort of system, like a bot that will actually do it. So all it is one bot that's a reservoir you point it to your Google Drive or OneDrive, whatever you got, wherever you got the information, and you do it in that. And that will answer most of the questions. And if there's a problem in that they still have, then the team can come to you. And I call it the 1-3-1 method. All right. A lot of us have heard of it. I've got a problem. Here's 3 options that I'm thinking about. Here's my recommended solution, 1-3-1. And all you've got to do is go yes or no. You don't have to think through and do all the research. Get them to do the research, get them to use the AI, empower them to think and make a recommendation. And over a period of time, they'll stop coming to you. They'll come up with, oh, hang on a second, my recommendation 9 out of 10 times is approved. Then you can now put in there what we call policy governance, which allows them to make a certain decision to a certain dollar amount or a certain amount of liability. Now, I know a lot of you are a lot better AI experts than I am. A lot better. I'm not an AI expert, not saying I am. However, I got a little bit of understanding in human psychology and how AI interacts with a human being. That's where my space is. So when you're trying to choose the right AI, whether it be Victor, Claude, ChatGPT, Perplexity, all the different pieces around, there are 5 components that I'm saying to you that you really want to start considering. And the 5th component is where I'm going to talk about, because you should know about the rest of them. AI agents, they're the doers. That's the thing that's going to do the work for you instead of a VA doing the work. You've got to have a process or an area where it's going to have curated content. In other words, this is where the information it's dragging from is just not something that they can hallucinate from. They've got your data, and you've got a way to connect your Google Drive or whatever it might be, which has got your information that it pulls from, and that will also give it the context and the knowledge base. There's got to be a large language model. Most systems these days are using either ChatGPT, Claude, or something else. All right. If you go into the back end of Victor, for instance, it uses Claude as its LLM in the background. Okay. You can also connect to that. You can connect in ChatGPT and a couple others as well for them to pull from. What most of them don't do, in actual fact, what all of them don't do, is they don't understand neuroscience. And if I just spend just a minute or two here, has anybody done any sort of NLP stuff or neuroscience sort of studies before? Okay. The problem, thanks, throwing me in there. The problem with our AI, all of the stuff, all right, that we put out there, it's all robotic. It's all data-driven. There's no emotion, there's no understanding of the human condition within it. And that's why a lot of the time it's either a curated content or context, or it just thinks like you do. And I can tell you now, not everybody here will think like I do. Yeah, you're all fatally flawed. I'm not, but you are. Okay. But that's the reality. That's the way in which we communicate. We communicate like I know and nobody else does. Like I'm a choleric personality. I like dot points. Just give me the brief and tell me what the result is, and let's move on. Get shit done fast. Some of you want to, get procrastination paralysis. You try and analyze every single detail until such times as you procrastinate for the next 6 months and you don't get anything done. That's neuroscience. That's the basis of neuroscience. It says that everybody thinks differently, everybody communicates differently. And when you put neuroscience into your communication skills or a layer of that, and you're starting to automate things, now you're going to start considering not just how you communicate and what you're trying to communicate, you're now putting yourself in somebody else's shoes. I hope that's not too deep, but it's a reality. Because when we're trying to sell, when we're trying to communicate as a digital marketing agency or a GHL agency, not everybody thinks like us. We think, most of us will be thinking logically, or we're trying to think of the sale, but we don't think of all the different types of personalities, and neuroscience is where it's at. I haven't got a link to it. There's a thing now that you can plug into. It's an MCP for Claude, and it's called Ask Alex. I'll get it and I'll send it to Jared, and you can put it into this presentation or a link to it. It's an MCP you can put into the back end of Claude, and it engages now and looks at everything you put out and your automation, and it looks at it thinking about the different neurosciences and different styles of talking and engagement before it generates. So what you'll find it will generate an email, and then it'll activate what it calls the crocodile brain or the reptilian brain, and it goes through all the different things of neuroscience, and then it will spit out just a modified version. So one will be the version you would write because it brings from all your context, and then it gives you a second suggestion on how to answer it to that particular person that you're sending it to. Okay, so neuroscience is a bolt-on at the moment. None of the real LLMs are actually putting it in there. It's something that I would definitely be saying to you. So I'm not going to go through all these ones. What I wanted to do is, first of all, is there any questions about what I've already spoken about? Then I want to show you about what I'm going to give you and how to actually use it.
I think we're looking good, mate. Craig had one. You answered it.
Excuse me. I'm just got to go over COVID, so I'm just a little bit dry in the throat. All right. So the links that you get when this presentation goes live, some of the links we're going to give to you for a start. Where are we? Here we go. All right. Stop that. Where am I? Yeah, I think that's it. Is that just sharing this screen, I hope? What do you guys see?
Google Drive SOP templates.
Yep, beautiful. All right, so what's inside of here is a series broken up into different departments and a couple other different pieces. So if you go inside of here, inside of each of these will be different sections. You'll eventually get how-tos, all right? You'll get step-by-step guides. These are things that I've built over a 15-year period of being rectified, updated, and everything over 15 years in the productivity sort of area. There'll be a CSV file in each of these. That CSV file is your ability to upload it straight into whatever project management software you're currently using. All right, so you upload it and it's got all the tasks that come out of this particular flow chart, and that SOP up, and you can upload it into your project management and start running it today. Okay. It's also got in here a number of different, and I haven't loaded in hundreds of them, and the reason being is because I know that you guys are going to want to change things, but we've got some SOP samples and everything in here. For instance, when it comes to an appointment setter, these are literally my appointment setting skills. All right. So you can, there's nothing I'm hiding from you here. This is a full template of, if you want to run an appointment setter, this is the system that I run, how I run it, how I treat it. It's got all the different tracking systems and all that type of stuff in there. It's got all the content. When you get to the appointment setter, it's got all the different setter guides, a quick start guide, and it goes through. These are the old-fashioned type SOPs that a lot of us are probably used to. You might not have seen in this sort of detail before, but this is an SOP that works, that will give you freedom. Okay, but in the world of AI, what I've also included in this folder are 2 Claude skills. I'm going to demonstrate a couple of these for you in a second. The 2 Claude skills I'm going to give you is, first one is an SOP builder. All you need to do is, if you've got a current SOP, you can literally open up the skill, drop in your current SOP, and run the skill. It will then analyze your SOP, update it to what needs to be done to make it a little bit better. It'll give you some recommendations and draft it all out into a nice, basically into these nice, pretty looking, this sort of format, okay? All the details. And you can then look at it as a human now and say, is that the SOP that I want to produce? Okay, so that's step number one. The second Claude skill then, you run the second Claude skill in the same chat, just add the second Claude skill, and it will then determine if that skill or that particular SOP that you want to run is best off to run within Claude or within Victor. It will then build the whole thing for you, copy and paste, put that into Victor or put it into Claude, and your automation is done according to that, and then you just run your tests. Can't make it much simpler than that for you, okay? They're just two gifts that I'll give you today just to run away and have a play. Now, as I said before, there's going to be at times some of the different steps that are still going to need some human interventions. And therefore, it will trigger to say, hey, send a task to the human to look at this or to look at that, et cetera, et cetera. So the trigger points will be in there to be able to send it off to your particular one. So if you're not using what I use, all right, you'll need to update that skill. And I'll be running some courses and everything on how to do these a little bit later on. You can jump into that at any one time. But it'll send a task. You can actually do it. So instead of sending off to a task or a project management software, send it as an email. And I'll ask you that little prompt to say, do you want to send this to your project management or do you want to send it as an email? And when it's ready to run, it'll do whatever you actually tell it to do. Making sense? Cool. So I guess when we're talking about SOPs, I said, it starts with your thinking. Once you get your thinking done, you will get the SOP. I've given you as much as I can to be able to make that as easy as possible and running those Claude skills and throwing your stuff in there. Will it work 100% for everybody? Depending on what your framework is, you might need to make a little tweak to the skill. It works absolutely brilliant. We've been using this now for quite some time. It works for our company beautifully. And we literally now, as soon as a team comes to me and says, hey, how do I do this? I literally say, grab the SOP, automate it, follow the procedure. So I've got an SOP. It's the only SOP now that we use on a regular basis that basically points them back to use our Claude skills. And that's it. And that runs the rest of my business. All 100% automated. Before I run the last little piece, anybody got any questions?
There was just one question from Brett asking, have you played with Scribe as an SOP?
No. I've seen a couple of them around. I found that a lot of the different things, they lock you into a platform rather than anything else. And they have a certain thinking and logic. There's different logics around with project management and SOPs, like Agile. They've got different systems. And I find that it locks you into a way of thinking. And I'm not a big fan of those sort of tools. Cool. It's probably the easiest way to do it.
Then we had Dan that asked where you source your setters from, mate.
Sorry?
We had Dan ask where you source your setters from. So when you were touching on the area of appointment setting, I think that just raised a question for Dan with a bit of curiosity to know where you're sourcing them from.
Cool. So Jared mentioned him before. Aram over in Pakistan, Aram from GHL Starboys does all my setter stuff for me. On top of that now, we're actually now doing a lot of that by automation. Reaching out into different groups. There's still a human element to it. Don't automate the human, don't automate the things that a human should do. It's probably the easiest thing to do. All right. Keep it real. If they make a spelling mistake, don't hammer particularly because they come from other countries. If their grammar's a little bit out, who gives a crap? All right. It's sometimes a better thing to keep it real. All right.
There was also a question as well around the domain for Alex, but I believe you're going to share that afterwards, aren't you?
Yeah, I'll share that. It's called Ask Alex. You can Google it. Ask Alex. It's a guy by the name of Patrick Seaton was the guy who invented it. He's actually a partner, JV partner that we're developing together with some of the stuff that I'm doing at the moment around this whole SOP and project management and all that type of stuff. So let me just take you in. I'm going to, where is my, I've got this stupid, what do you call it? I've got a light bar that's sitting around my computer at the moment from Zoom. It's driving me nuts. I can't see half the thing. Okay. So what I wanted to show you, and this is something that I've been working on for some time, is a lot of us get into conversations with our clients. This is for want of a better word, a sales closing SOP. Okay. And the SOP is run the transformation economic engine for every client that I talk to. So we've got Jared has kindly volunteered his business. All right. So what I'm about to do is upload, where have we got here? Okay. We've uploaded. Now this upload with this particular skill that I've built, this is not something you'll be getting given away. This is definitely right inside of my IP. However, I'm going to be doing some training on it a little bit later on. And you can build your own. It's not that hard to do. So what I've done here is I've sent him a form, basically 14 questions, answer the 14 questions. Now you could do that in a discovery call, download the transcript of that discovery call, put that into here, et cetera, et cetera. And what it does, and you'll see the speed. I'm just going to run it now while I'm talking. And so this economic engine will now analyze those 14 questions. They're 14 key questions. You actually see here that it's now coming up and it's checking Ask Alex. Why is it doing that? Is because it's going in the background of Jared and the information that he's provided. It's actually now searching Jared and Boulder Digital and looking at all his socials and on the way in which he communicates to pick up his communication style. That's what it's doing. So the report will still come out with the right information, but it will word it in a way that Jared will relate to it. Very different sort of thinking. All right. And so this economic engine, if you think about it now, how long did that take? Minute, 2 minutes? Now I've got a report that while I'm actually on the call or I've had it, I can pre-do it a couple of minutes beforehand, and it picks up all the different things that Jared is doing, and it's running this report as I'm talking to you. What's the demand for his service? It's an 81% demand. Anything above 70%, it's a good business to run with. What are the pain points that his clientele are feeling? Now you know what sort of information to run through and build their website, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. And it goes through this particular thing. It does an X-ray, all right, your competitive advantage. So it actually starts looking at the competitive markets and the viability, and it starts to think of itself, who is your competitors? Who are those people you need to be looking at? Who are the people you can go in there and spy on their things, the architecture, and it gives you a full battle card, right? So it builds, this will keep building for about the next 3 to 5 minutes. But in the end, it will give you a report based upon your client that you now know how to communicate with them, and you can give them this report and say, this is what I'm going to do for you. I'm going to help you solve this point, this problem, this problem, this problem, this problem. And they've probably not even thought about it. Now, for some people, it's going to be over the top. You might want to then literally just write a little paragraph, summarize this into a 2-paragraph email. All right, as a teaser. It's up to you, but you've got the full report, and it'll keep on bringing, and as I said, this is going to bring out this full report, and each of these little cards and bits and pieces, you'll be able to click on those, they drop down, into subsets. I'll send this to you, Jared. It's up to you, Jared, if you want to share it with everybody else as a sample report. Okay.
It
this
depends.
just shows you how.
If it looks good, Kelvin, yep, absolutely, we'll share it. If it looks like a train wreck, sorry guys, this will be removed from the recording.
But it literally, like, there's nothing going to come up here that's personal at this stage. And the reality is, we can run something like this as we can put in here some dummy information if you just want to, and I can run this report for you as well. And if anybody's looking to actually build something like this, happy to show you how to build it at the same time. We might do another masterclass in the future on how to build something like this transformational economic engine to do a review of your client together a little bit later on. But as I said, you do that, it puts you in a position where you actually, not only are you listening to them, but you're telling them how you're going to solve it. And then obviously, depending on your skills that you run, what I run after that, I do what I call the partner accelerator. I then say, is this person a person I can actually fix their business, and can I actually partner with them and actually develop something together? And it looks for joint ventures together. And then you've got the ultimate sales closer, which is my SOP. So what a lot of us will do is, the next SOP is, when we get our client, we tell them, here's your problems, here's the things how you want to do it. You then load that into the ultimate sales closer, and it then builds all their sales copy, landing page copy, et cetera, according to that economic engine that you've already built for them. And it does all that with the neuroscience behind it. Okay. So it's a pretty cool little tool. But that's the new age of SOPs. No longer are we looking at building, here's the documented step-by-step guide. It's about, how do you build a skill that will actually do the job, that will do the skill, rather than actually, here's the thing, and then give it to somebody to actually follow the process. Is that making sense? And so now I literally run my whole business on 6 skills. As soon as a problem comes up, we run a skill and it does a diagnosis. This is how to fix the problem. The new versions of SOPs. Questions? Talked long enough.
Any questions, guys? Drop them in. Kelvin, I was only joking before as well. If you want to go through and show what that pulled up as well, because otherwise, I know you put in the effort of getting this all together. It'd be pretty rough if you're like, Jared, can you fill this out? I'm like, don't show anyone. So go for it.
Okay, you sure? Okay.
Yep. Good, bad, and ugly. Let's go.
The good, the bad, and the ugly. All right.
I'm with friends, so I should be fine.
Oh, this friggin' thing. Let me just share. Claude. All right, so you should just be able to see Claude now.
We can.
Correct.
Yep.
Beautiful. So here's the report as it generated. All right. So when it come up with that radar of demand, 81%, it now goes through. Here's the pain points that your clients have got that you now have to word. So obviously, if we know what the pain points are according to what you deliver, all right, and how and what it's going to be, you can then set it up. Goes through the X-ray. It obviously sets up for you that Go High Level is a direct competitor, all right, and overseas recruitment agencies. It goes through and does a bit of an analysis between that, all right. The affiliate sort of sins, it's even brought up. I don't know who that company is, but that's who they are, all right. It gives you a viability score, all right, what your different areas of sections are, how you should potentially reposition yourself as a pricing model. Are these right? No. It just gives you an overview of some of the potential conversations you can have with the client. All right. Some of the disconnects and the hooks and everything. Now, these battle cards, I tried Go High Level before, and it's too complicated. Like, these go into the complexities and the reasoning behind it. Some of the power questions, if you have lead generation problems, et cetera. And so it goes through each of these particular areas of your business, step by step away through it. And then you've got what we call, you can click on the battle cards, And now what you can do is you can actually, if you want me to say, this is what it does for me, by the way. All right, because this is obviously inside of my system. Do I want to run that inside of my intelligence vault? In other words, do I want to add this to my intelligence vault so that someday in the future, when Jared is actually doing this, do I want to reach out to him and actually reach out and say, let's JV on something? And what it does, in my intelligence vault, all right, it's one of my skills that basically comes up and it gives me a suggestion, and it goes out and it looks at websites, etc., that Jared has done until such times as it's ready to JV, and it will keep on examining his stuff, and then it will come up and send me an email in a month, 2 months, 6 months' time to say, hey, Jared's now ready to JV with you. Don't have to think about it, okay? Do I want to draft a LinkedIn post, all right, and say I just had a conversation with Jared and this is a snapshot of his report? So that then becomes my marketing. Okay, so these are the questions that's asking me, do I want to do next? All right, do I want to, at the moment, you call it the Boulder operating system is what we can probably call this. And I try and sell that to Jared.
It's pretty close, mate. We've got two systems that we have at the moment called the BIB system and the big system. Yeah. So it's pretty up there. And then the other thing that I like about this is it's showing a pricing model with VAs. And what we typically do is we have our VAs that are, we kind of have them separate to the actual high level system and the GPP optimization. But then what it's showing there is how you can combine all of that as a single value, which is really cool as well.
Yeah. So remembering that Jared, we all know Jared's a pretty switched on dude and he's been doing this for a while. So he'll be a lot more advanced. A lot of your clients have probably got no idea. All right. And so when you present this to them, then you're going to be presenting them stuff that they've probably never even thought of. And it just, as I said, it just helps you close. So when you're building an SOP, and I'm just showing you this to show you what the capacity of our systems are. When you're using AI and you're going to get into this automation space, whether it's in Victor, Claude, doesn't matter where you are, I cannot speak highly enough to think about this neuroscience part. It will make a difference to the way in which everything it produces. All right.
So when you're looking at that that doc that you've just put together, Kel, how are you currently using that? Like, at what point in the conversation are you coming in with that? Are you, for example, having someone book in a call, and then as part of your discovery, you're going through gathering that intelligence and putting it in and doing it on the spot? Is it something that you're preparing as the next stage to catch up with them on the second call? What's that look like?
So for my process in that sort of thing is I capture that data over a period of time. And once I've got enough data to run the report, which is basically the 14 questions, once I've captured those 14 pieces of information somewhere, people don't know they're answering it. It might be off a social media comment they've made. It might be off, doesn't matter. I'm collecting these pieces of data. And once I've got the 14 pieces of data, I reach out to them. All right. So that's the system that I've built. And it's literally automated. And then literally it's actually built in Claude for me. All right. And it literally just comes out and say, hey, Kel, you've now got this person is available to reach out to. Now they might already be using the system, but they might not be using it well. They might be already a client. They might have been a past client. They might have been a prospect that I missed. And so I can reach back out to them. So I know that context. So I would use this report. I wouldn't use it as entirely unless you're looking at them as a high ticket item. Like that will, if you're just looking for a SaaS, all right, you might automate that whole process so that you say, hey, have you thought about this? This is the way in which you can use the SaaS component better. Here's a whole bunch of ideas. Here's a model to be able, here's your, sales conversion, the ultimate sales conversion tool. You can give them your Claude piece, run that in and build that in, and you can do it yourself, or you can get us to do it for you. There's multiple ways that I do it. Typically the high-end clients, I generally do like 2 or 3 discovery calls. And I generally, first one's free, 30 minutes free. Hey, you want to go on and take this deeper? All right, we're going to do some stuff. We do a 30-minute to 45-minute call. And by that stage, I get their 14 points. I do the report, and then their third one is when I close them. I give them the report and say, hey, we're going to have a conversation about how I can help you implement that. That's generally a $10,000 to $15,000 implementation.
Gotcha.
And plus an ongoing $3,000 to $5,000 a month.
So Josie's got on here and said, is your intelligence vault saved externally like Obsidian or somewhere else?
Sorry, the intelligence?
Yep.
Yeah, I use Claude and Google Drive, and I pull all my context out of my own Google Drive. All right, and I ask Claude basically to fill in any of the gaps, for grammar and all that type of fun stuff.
Cool. Any other questions, guys? It's been pretty darn insightful. The whole presentation, Kel, was really good. And then you just tied it in a bow with that last part. So I'm looking forward to seeing that report and having a better look over it myself. But is there any other questions that come up for you guys? No, they're all singing your praises instead.
Yeah. All right. So
just as good as a question.
When the recording goes out, we'll put the link to the Google Drive, which you'll be able to have all those SOPs there. Remembering those SOPs, if they'll still work for you, all right? They are just literally flow charts and things you can upload in your project management. We'll put in there a link. Like I have my own project management tool called Productivity Suite. We'll put in a link in there. It works the same as what most project management tools do. And I'll give you a 50% off code in the link as well for everybody here. And I'll be doing a whole bunch of other stuff on productivity very, very shortly.
Brilliant. Well, mate, thanks for jumping on here and planning this one out. I absolutely wasn't expecting it. And then when you sent through that doc, I was like, what on earth are we doing here? Where's this going when we go in here? But I'm glad that I filled it out and had time and actually didn't give you like shitty answers. I was like, no, I want to do this properly. I was building out an AC funnel with someone at the moment, and the document has taken me hours to fill out because it's so detailed, or I'm being so detailed, but the build itself looks so good because of the info in it. So I knew that with this, I was like, well, Kelvin's clearly up to something. I've got to just make sure it's got good enough info in there. And I like even just briefly what you showed there. It just shows the power of something that you can, leverage, create very quickly, because it didn't take me that long to actually fill that out and then build out the value on top of that. So massive kudos, mate.
Yeah. And I'm anybody who wants to, run through that. I'm not going to give away those couple of tools. I'm actually going to be building an MCP out of it. But, in the short term, if anybody wants to run their business through it and they want to run through the 14 points and do a bit of a review of your business, happy to do that for you.
And the other thing as well, guys, if you don't know this, Kelvin's very approachable. I know over the years we've spoken about many different things. So if you want to connect with him, he's one of the easiest people to get a hold of. Apart from if he's sick, he's probably not so easy to get a hold of when he's sick.
Yeah, mate. The last couple of days are pretty hard. But yeah, I'm available. I make myself available for what I want to do. You guys,
awesome.
You guys are a part of that.
Sweet. All right, guys, we'll call it there. Thanks again, Kelvin, for jumping on. I'll get this all wrapped up and uploaded and done with that. We'll get all the links from you as well, Kel, and then we'll go from there.